Heads up, everyone. Consider this your warning. Uncle Case is giving you plenty of notice because Angel Reese is about to lose it again. That's right. Angel Reese is out here having a major meltdown over her first unfavorable call from the WNBA refs. And suddenly, people are treating it like it's some historic act of injustice. But does she even realize that Caitlin Clark has literally been hurt because of these very same referees?
Out everyone, this is your warning. Uncle KC is giving you plenty of time to prepare because Angel Reese is about to explode.
Because the WNBA still can't seem to get their calls right, Caitlin Clark has been dealing with the consequences all season, while Reese stayed silent. For those just tuning in, welcome. Angel Reese walked into that press conference and completely went off on the referee. And honestly, I get it. If the ref really said what she claims, that's wild. Reese said, "We fought really hard. It's frustrating when you talk to the officials and I tell them, hey, we've only had 2 free throws up until the 4th quarter. And the ref tells me that's not her job." Now, Angel Reese is on a full-blown social media rant and venting in press conferences, acting like she's the first WNBA player ever to get a bad call.
If you're new, Angel Reese, man, she ended up stepping into this presser right here and just going off on this ref. And I have to agree, man, if the ref really said this to her,
I think we fought really hard. It's tough when you talk to officials and
Meanwhile, the Indiana Fever has been dealing with this nonsense every single game, watching their star player get knocked around night after night while the refs just let it slide. But the moment it happens to the Golden Child from Chicago, suddenly we've got a full-on press conference meltdown. That said, Angel Reese did make headlines again. So let's talk about it. She's been relatively quiet lately. Not much noise, not much attention. But that changed fast. Yesterday, Angel Reese sounded off, saying, "It's tough when you talk to officials. I told them, hey, we've only been to the free throw line twice up until the 4th quarter. And the ref tells me that's not her job." Then she doubled down, saying she doesn't care if she gets fined because she's tired of it. Tired of staying quiet, tired of being humble while her team keeps fighting through it. "We battled as hard as we could with what we had," she said. "We're growing, and this is another step forward for us. We know we can compete with the best."
But Angel Reese did make history again, and we're going to talk about this real quick because Angel Reese been kind of quiet in her department. You know what I'm saying? There ain't really been a whole lot of noise. At least people really haven't been paying attention to it. That is until today.
But something's got to change. And Angel Reese made it clear she doesn't care if she gets fined. She's had enough. She said she's been nice and humble about it. But she's officially fed up. Oh really? Nice and humble? Where was that energy when Caitlin Clark was getting beat up all season with reckless fouls? The hypocrisy here is wild. Reese went on social media calling the officiating diabolical and demanding that the WNBA do better. But when Clark was taking cheap shots and being targeted by players trying to make a statement, Angel Reese was silent. And honestly, this isn't new. Throughout her first 2 years in the league, Angel Reese has been the same story. On paper, the double-double diva looks impressive. But in reality, she hasn't been impacting wins. Since the Bayou Barbie turned into the Chi-Town Barbie, the Chicago Sky have gone 18-39, one of the worst records in a league already full of struggling teams. And too often, when things go wrong, Angel Reese points fingers at everyone but herself for the team's embarrassing performances.
Because I know how hard we're battling inside, and I think that we came down and fought as hard as we could with what we had, and I just know we continue to grow in this, and I think it's the leaping step for us, and obviously we know we can compete with the best, but that has to be fixed. And
Let's break down what actually happened in the Sky's 80-75 loss to the Minnesota Lynx. Chicago only took 8 free throws the entire game, while Minnesota got 17. Angel Reese put up 16 points on 16 shot attempts, all coming from the paint, and only made it to the line twice. Yeah, that's definitely frustrating. But when you compare that to what Caitlin Clark's been dealing with all season, getting slammed on every drive, taking hits that would make NFL players wince, and still not getting calls, it really puts things in perspective. It's a real issue. The officiating has been awful. And look, I get it. Refs are human, mistakes happen. I say that all the time. But at some point, something has to be done to address how bad the calls have gotten. It's just not fair across the board. And we all know there are certain players who get that special whistle. We saw it clear as day in that Aces game. Absolutely ridiculous. Now, don't get me wrong, I understand where Angel Reese is coming from. There were a few plays where she definitely could have gotten a foul call, no doubt. But in the end, it just didn't go her way this time.
Throughout her first 2 years in the WNBA, Angel Reese has been the same way. On paper, the double-double diva looks great, but just like Derek Carr, Angel Reese does not impact.
But honestly, the worst part of the whole game wasn't even about Angel Reese. It was what happened with Sydney Colson. She made a perfectly clean defensive play, a textbook steal, and somehow got whistled for a foul. The call was ridiculous. But here's the difference. Sydney Colson didn't lose her cool. She simply asked for a challenge, got the call overturned, and kept it moving. No dramatic press conference, no social media meltdown. Just handled it and went right back to playing basketball.
Barbie became the Chi-Town Barbie. The Chicago Bravado are 18-39. They have been one of the worst teams in a league that is filled with bad teams. And oftentimes, Angel Reese will blame everyone but herself for her.
The silence back then was deafening, and it said everything about where Angel Reese's priorities truly are. Yet now, one foul goes against her, and suddenly she's completely losing it. The double standard is unreal. When Caitlin Clark was getting cheap-shotted by Connecticut Sun players, taking elbows to the head, and getting shoved to the floor by defenders who couldn't stop her fairly, Angel Reese was nowhere to be found. Maybe even liking the tweets cheering it on. But now that she's on the receiving end of a bad call, suddenly the entire WNBA officiating system needs a full overhaul? Come on. The refs have definitely been out of control this season, and something needs to change, no question about that. But for Angel Reese to start complaining only now, after months of staying silent while Caitlin Clark took constant abuse, that's the definition of selective outrage.
It's a problem, man. The ref calls are terrible, all right? And also, I know that they're human, you know, and you say that every time. But they have to do something to alleviate how bad the calls are, man. It's not fair most of the time across the board. And
where was this passion when Caitlin Clark was getting hammered with flagrant fouls that didn't even get called? Where was this energy when Indiana Fever coach Stephanie White was getting hit with technicals just for standing up for her players after obvious missed calls? Let's be real, Angel Reese didn't seem to care back then. Now she's speaking out, and sure, she might get fined for it. Honestly, I don't even mind her speaking up. If you've watched my channel, you know I've criticized Angel Reese plenty for her play, but I actually agree with some of what she's saying here. Still, she has to realize something. Fans watch these games too, and we've seen her commit some hard fouls that don't get called. The truth is, Angel Reese only seems to care about officiating when it affects her. She trademarked Bayou Barbie and built a brand around drama instead of using her platform to talk about player safety or real league issues. And now, after one game where the whistle didn't go her way, she suddenly wants to lead a crusade for referee reform? That's a tough sell. It's especially ironic coming from someone who's benefited from favorable calls throughout her career. Reese has made a name for herself grabbing rebounds off her own misses and drawing plenty of contact in the paint, often getting the whistle. But the moment those same calls stop coming, suddenly it's a league-wide conspiracy. Even her coach, Tyler Marsh, came to her defense, pointing out that Chicago ranks among the league's best in shots at the rim but near the bottom in free throw attempts. That's fair, any coach would find that frustrating. But again, where was this same energy when Caitlin Clark was taking hit after hit, setting records for contact without getting calls? Where was the outcry when the face of women's basketball was being targeted by players who couldn't stop her any other way?
And we know the players that have the special whistle. Now, we saw it for sure in that Aces game. Oh my goodness, man. It was ridiculous, man. But anyway, man, I feel Angel Reese's pain on that one. She did have some plays where I was like, she probably could have got a foul in that one.
The Sky actually started off pretty well. They came out with energy, looked solid early, and seemed ready to compete. But as usual, things unraveled. You see it every game. They'll have stretches where the offense looks smooth, then suddenly it's a sequence of forced shots, bad looks, poor decisions, just rough basketball. And honestly, Chicago's struggles aren't just about officiating. They are 5-12 because, plain and simple, they are not a very good basketball team right now. Angel Reese's shooting efficiency has dropped from her rookie season, her turnovers have nearly doubled, and her overall impact on winning has been limited. Instead of taking accountability and working to improve her game, it's easier to point fingers at the referees. But bad officiating isn't the reason this team can't keep up with elite squads like the Minnesota Lynx. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark keeps proving why she's special. She's breaking records and lifting her teammates, even while playing through injuries caused by the same officiating inconsistencies that Reese is now so upset about. Clark just became the fastest player in WNBA history to reach 350 assists, rewriting the record books while enduring constant physical abuse as the league's most targeted player. The contrast between these two athletes couldn't be clearer. When Caitlin Clark faces bad calls, she makes her case, moves on, and keeps competing. When she gets hurt because of the lack of calls, she grinds through rehab and comes back stronger.
Angel Reese comes out and she decides to, in her press conference after the game that they lost the other day, to talk about the officials and how they're...
When Angel Reese gets one bad call, she holds a press conference, jumps on social media, and acts like she's the first player in WNBA history to be wronged by the refs. There was even a play that summed up her night perfectly. She missed a shot off the backboard, grabbed her own rebound, missed again, grabbed another rebound, and missed yet again. In about 30 seconds, she had 5 rebounds and 0 points. That's not dominance, that's inefficiency. When you go 4 for 16 on mostly punt-blank shots, it's hard to feel sorry for you. That's just not good basketball. What makes all this even more frustrating is that Angel Reese has had countless chances this season to use her platform for something positive. She could have spoken up about player safety when Caitlin Clark was being targeted. She could have called for better officiating when it was affecting everyone, not just her. But she didn't. She stayed quiet until it became her problem. So now, when she suddenly complains about not getting enough free throw attempts and questions the officiating, it feels hollow. The timing of this outrage, after months of silence while others took the hits, says a lot.